My name is Christel Thue, and I would like to present my capstone project from the University of Oregon, where I studied a Master of Science in Sports Product Design and graduated from in June 2019. The project is called FUTUSUMA, which means extreme future. I started by analyzing what were the mega trends of the world in 2019 and how was this connected to other things I was interested in. I looked at customization of products and thought of making a Build-A-Bear concept for outerwear. I looked at social design like Christel, a knitwear company producing garments in a women's prison in Peru, or using colors to explain function, like the tubes exposed on the outside of the Parisian Museum Centre Pompidou, where air is in the blue tubes, green is air conditioned, and so on. And looking at an old Prada collection where Made in India was written in bold on the neck labels, used as a statement of being proud of where you produce your products and creating transparency. But what really stuck with me was the increased focus on sustainability and how this went from a crazy grassroots thought to mainstream. I looked at how overconsumption of today is leading to temperatures rising, making the glaciers melt, which leads to sea levels rising. Looking at how reliable media, as the New York Times and the Danish News, predicts what the consequences of climate change will be, and National Geographic on what this new future will look like. I thought it would be interesting to take this to the extreme by imagining a new continent that would form when the sea levels will rise, and use this as my inspiration for the project. I created this new island called FUTUSUMA. The island is small, and every year the population have to compete in a race to determine who gets to stay and who are left at sea. The FUTUSUMA race is a 24-hour race in the 3 disciplines of cross-country skiing, road cycling, and running. Looking at the future of consumers. Today we have a small group of people exploring through extreme sports activities to challenge themselves. But in the future of FUTUSUMA, this group will grow as their skills and needs will be mainstream, shifting from exploring towards surviving. The climate refugees of the future can come from rich countries, meaning they will have the resources to buy innovative products made for survival. The contestants will first cross-country ski through the cold and dry climate of Gileas, a 25K during 6 hours. They will then cycle 200K in the changing weather conditions of Testa with fog, wind, rain and sun for 7 hours. And at last, they will have 4 hours to run 49K during the night in high altitude in the mild cold climate of Ventus, where there is possibility of rain. My goal with this project was to create an outerwear system to survive the extreme weather conditions of FUTUSUMA. 3 jackets, a high insulated jacket for skiing through Gileas with easy to grab trims, a protective shell for cycling the mountains of Testa with adjustable layers which can be changed while in motion, and a lightweight shell to run through Ventus with wind protection, water repellency, and adjustable features. I made a testing and validation plan for the prototypes. I would use dynamic fittings with athletes for the specific sport to validate fit and features. Through lab tests, measure different insulating materials against each other, as well as the insulation capacity, and compare the weight and volume of the garments with products on the market, and last, wear test the prototypes on athletes performing their sport. We were encouraged to reach out to industry professionals to pitch our idea and ask for advice during the process of our project. I started with a list of 5 potential mentors. I spoke with human physiologist Brett Kirkby, who was my teacher at UO and works at Nike, in the first phase of the concept development. Tiffany Wilkinson, the creative director of Outdoor Voices, on presentation and communication methods. And Bill Dieter, founder of TerraSign, who became my main mentor and who I was fortunate to have a lot of great conversation with around my ideas. I also built a 3-month plan on how I wanted to execute my project. In my research, I looked at the superhumans of today, from Alex Honnold free soloing El Cap, Eliud training for Breaking 2, the Nike project, which tests human potential by targeting a sub-2-hour marathon, Colin O'Brady crossing the Antarctica solo, and people doing extreme races like the Bathwater Ultramarathon, also known as the toughest foot race in the world, with contestants running in the boiling heat of a desert. I watched a documentary on the Sirius Dog Sled Patrol, which is the Danish military unit in Greenland, to discover what they were wearing in these extreme climate. I noticed that they were wearing cotton jackets from the Norwegian brand Norone, so I reached out to them to understand why these soldiers were wearing cotton in 2018. They explained that cotton is highly breathable material, and since it never rains in Arctic climate, there's no need for water-resistant membranes, which reduce breathability. Another thing I noticed, as you see on the bottom right picture, finding a lost person in this environment is difficult, even when they are wearing bright colors. I worked with athletes I had access to at my school to get their insights. A skier, a cyclist, and a runner. I interviewed them to hear what they were seeking in the perfect jacket for their sport. I visited the industry fair outdoor retailer and found 3 elements I wanted to use in my project. A super lightweight YKK zipper, hydrophobic down, and how thermoregulation is measured in sleeping bags. A long tonal reflective tape. I looked at what currently was in the local stores and documented the features, weight, and volumes of these products to be able to compare them to my designs. I created a mood to define the aesthetic of the project. Elegant finishing without compromising function, lightweight color contrast trims, and the vibe of hacked products. I analyzed the different motions of the sports and how this would dictate the fit of the garment. I observed the wind protection zones and what this would mean for the material use, and mapped out the wind protection, insulation, and sweat zones for the 3 sports. I took a deep dive into the research of thermoregulation for women. I was in contact with the director of the Environmental Ergonomic Research Center at Loughborough University, George Havenard, who researched thermoregulation for the last 10 years. He shared his research papers with me, which led to understanding that this theme is even more complex than I had anticipated. Here are the main takeoffs. Women have a smaller muscle mass than men, higher body fat, lower blood circulation, a bigger skin surface area which leads to less sweating, and a lower skin temperature. Also, ethnicity and culture behavior, as shaving impacts the ability to thermoregulate efficiently. I did a lot of ideations around adjustable layers, removable elements, and a search for the perfect ergonomic fit. The first design I wanted to test was prototyping the Gilius ski jacket. I did all my fittings on a ski athlete whose feedback informed the fit and overall look of the garment. I created the jacket with ultrasonic velvet seams, which is sewing with sound. This was the final prototype, A ski jacket with a kangaroo center front pocket, a hood with high mobility and increased hearing by removing the side panels, a high collar with merino wool facing on the main wind zones. I created a prototype of a baffled down jacket, the Gilius hydrophobic jacket. Colin O'Brady, the guy who crossed Antarctic solo, described that when he was in Arctic climate, he would need to put on a big lofted jacket if he was stopping even for a sip of water. You can't wear this jacket all the time because, as he states, in this climate, if you sweat, you die. I created baffle lofts on the body to eliminate cooling bridges and stitched through baffles on the sleeves to keep the mobility of the arms. I used hydrophobic down to keep the user dry. And this is the construction. And the making of the garment, hand stuffing it with down. So this is the Gilius hydrophobic down jacket with adjustable hood, lofted baffle construction on the body and center front placket to eliminate cooling bridges, and sewn through baffles on the sleeves to maximize mobility of the arms, and an adjustable hem cinch. All filled with 800 fill hydrophobic goose down. And I tested the idea of having removable sleeves and pockets without pocket bags, but were connected to the underneath Gilius ski jacket pockets. This is a sketch for the Testa cycling jacket prototype. It's fitted on a cyclist to ensure the fit was constructed for the forward bended position a cyclist is in. Created with ultrasonic welded and taped seams. The Testa cycling jacket prototype. It has an ergonomic fit with a mesh panel at center front, which can be opened while cycling uphill to increase airflow and thermoregulation. Removable sleeves, which can be stored by the strap on the chest, and reflective patterns on shoulders and center back for safety. An easy to access back pocket and low profile Velcro cuff closing system. This is a Ventus running jacket. Fitted for a runner's needs, looking at only having fabric where the runner needs wind protection and with a removable hood. Also made with ultrasonic weldings and taped seams. The prototype of the Ventus running jacket. It has removable hood with space for a ponytail at center back and can be stored at the strap on the chest. Reflective patterns on the arms, since reflectivity works best on parts of the body which is moving. A garment construction focused on high mobility and adjustable hem cinch. All creates a very lightweight, packable running jacket. I tested if the hood would be easy to put on and stored while the runner is in motion. If the sleeves could be removed also while in motion, and the center front placket opened for ventilation. And I measured the weight of the running jacket against the 65-gram jacket not containing a hood. The construction of the Ventus running jacket, made in a lightweight water-repellent fabric, reached the low of 51 gram with a hood. This is some final images of the prototypes in a FUTUSUMA environment. Thank you for watching.